Well, Elizabeth Moss, you had not one but two Emmy nominations this year. Your standard nomination you get every year for Mad Men, but also the miniseries Top of the Lake, which we were actually chatting with you a year and a half ago when you were in New Zealand shooting that. Um, what was the reaction to the miniseries once it got out into the public and people saw
Um, Wait, I just want to show you something.
it?
Before we answer that really important question, I just want to show you.
Putting on a show for us.
Putting on a little show for Gold Derby back there. Thank you very much, Ethel. Also going for a nomination this year. Okay, sorry, say that again.
Once it got released, what was the reaction to the miniseries? What would people tell you about it?
Um, for me, I was very kind of, I don't want to say surprised because I was a fan of it and I thought it was good, but at the same time, it was a very dark piece and very unusual and sort of this 6 hour film. So the positive reaction to it for me was really amazing, and we premiered it at Sundance and we sort of got this immediate great response to it, and it felt like we made it in, which we did, in the bush of New Zealand by ourselves, so to get the reaction that it got and have people respond to it was like somebody responding to something that's very personal to you. So it was surprising. It was very, very cool, and people, I think, responded to it in many different ways.
Now, how did an American actress like you come to a part like that? When I first heard that it was that you were cast in it, I remember thinking, "Oh, it must be an American, maybe an American detective on loan or something like that." But no, you went for the whole accent and you kind
Yeah.
of immersed yourself in that world.
Yeah, I at the very very close to starting filming because Peter Mullen, who's wonderful in it, was doing his Scottish accent, and then we had Holly Hunter doing her accent, and everybody was sort of doing their own accents, and I just was like, there's no way that I could possibly just be American or something, and Jane was like, absolutely not. So I had to kind of fully invest. It was just I auditioned for it and spoke to Jane about it, and I always felt like it was like I probably told the story before, but I always felt like it was very much a long shot. I thought that they would cast an Australian or just someone more famous than me. So I was very, very surprised, and I think that it just was, based on Jane seeing what I did and seeing my connection to the role and being interested in exploring that further. She's very much the open-minded artist, Jane. She's not one of those people that is set on, oh, I have to have it my way. So I just liked what I did and was willing to kind of go on this scary adventure with me.
In our chat room, let me pull this back up here on my page. Queen Bee says, "I was so impressed with your accent in Top of the Lake. How did you prepare for that?"
Oh, that's nice. I had an incredible, incredible dialect coach named Victoria Maluska who worked with Jane before, worked with Kate Winslet on the film she did with Jane, and so she was amazing. I mean, I could not have done anything without her. Uh, I've talked to her on the phone for a few months before I went to New Zealand, but a lot of the work was in person once I got to New Zealand. Which I was sort of nervous about, but she was absolutely right, Victoria, in the sense that it's really best done in person. And so we would just get together every day for hours and talk. She would make me describe things around me and in the accent. And then we got more and more and more specific and started doing line work and actual dialogue from the project. But she was not there with me, unfortunately, during the for every scene as you usually would have. So she supported me with voice recordings and emails and phone calls, and it felt like she was there, which was amazing. But I never really felt like it's a very difficult accent, and I had to constantly be vigilant about it. I was never one of those people who was like, yes, I can just make phone calls to my mother and speak in the accent. It was hard the whole time.
Well, Rob, who co-hosted with me last time we talked a year and a half ago, he and I were talking in the spring when this aired, and he said, this accent, this is a very, it's not just, there's not just a New Zealand accent, just like there's not an American accent. He said this was very specific to that particular area and that particular region. He was very impressed.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Thank you. That's really nice to hear. Yeah, for me, it's like anytime anyone from that side of the world thinks it was okay, I get really, really happy. Um, we wanted it to be, Jane and Victoria and I wanted it to be very, just sort of specific to that, to the whole area, not just one town or city. It's like it's like our country. It's like America. If you come from one side of it, you sound completely different than if you come from another part of it. So we wanted it to be a sort of general kind of accent that was not that wouldn't take you out of the story. That was the only thing that I cared about, was just I didn't want it to be distracting. I didn't want it to be, oh look, Peggy Olson's doing an accent. I just wanted you to forget about it.
Another poster TV fanatic says that he loved you, it could be a he or a she, loved you in Top of the Lake. What was your favorite part about making it, and what was your favorite part about the finished product?
Oh God. My favorite part of making it was, I think, just the role itself. Was just the scenes that I got to do, and the role, and the acting I got to do, and the just the different moments that I got to play, and it was a dream come true as an actress. So for me, it was the actual role and the acting that was my favorite part. And what was the second half of the question?
Once you saw the finished product, what was surprised you about the finished product, or what was a favorite part of the finished product?
Um, I think how moved I was by it. How, when you shoot something like that so fast and you're doing so many things every day, and you're just going from episode, because we cross-bordered it, so we would go from episode 3 to 1 to 6 in one day, and I'd be working with Jane, and then I'd be working with Garth, the other director, and so it was really fast and very much a whirlwind. So to see it all come together as one story, from beginning to end, and be moved by the moments in it that I had maybe forgotten about because we only had this amount of time to shoot it and then we had to move on. So for me, I think I don't know if I was surprised, because these are wonderful filmmakers, but I was very happy to see that it was a complete story and very moving.
I imagine the surprise sometimes for an actor or actress who's in certain portions of a project, but not all of them, is when you see it all pulled together, when you see how it's structured, and the way maybe things are pieced together when it's actually airing.
Sure, and just seeing things that you were in, you don't get to see them, and while you're doing it. So, just seeing something and being like, oh, that's what that looked like. And
At
hopefully,
the Emmy Awards, beyond your nomination and some of the other ones, I bet you were particularly happy that somebody not well known to American audiences like Peter Mullen got nominated.
yeah, especially because I am such a big fan of his, and I think his performance in that is so incredible. And I remember doing our first scene together, and I knew he was going to be amazing. But I did our first scene together, which was, well, it's kind of I think our first scene in the thing, anyways, which is like with the dog. I don't want to like spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen it, but the dog's there, and it does not end well. And I was standing across from him watching him, which is a great thing to do as an actor, when an actor opposite you is so good that you forget what you're doing, and you end up just kind of like, oh wow, that's an amazing performance. And that's how I felt with him. I just was like, oh shit, like he's amazing. Like I couldn't take my eyes off of him. And so it's nice when a good performance, that, yeah, from somebody who is not necessarily extremely well known to an American audience, when other people see it, you're like, yes, that's what I think.
And your category at the Emmys, when you looked at that list, I can't imagine what reaction you might have had. But you had Jessica Lange, Sigourney Weaver, Helen Mirren, and Laura Linney, ladies that you probably watched for years and years. What was your reaction when you just saw that particular category?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like you look at something like that and people ask you, or people say to you like, do you think you're gonna win, or what do you think's gonna happen? And like, it sounds so cheesy to say, and you feel like nobody's ever gonna believe you. But when I, as an actress who I really love what I do, and I see a category like that with these women that I admire so much, to me, I'm like, that's where the conversation ends. It sounds so like Pollyanna, but it's like, yeah, that is amazing. I am honored to be with those women, and end of story. I don't even have to go to the Emmys. We could just say that's it. Like, that was awesome what happened. Yeah, every single one of them, I mean, they're the best. So for me, it's like the greatest compliment I could ever get.
Well, some of them will probably be nominated along with you at the Golden Globes and SAG Awards coming up soon.
Well, that's
You've been up at
very
the Globes.
nice.
Well, we honestly, I think if you look at our prediction center, I think, especially at SAG Awards, I think we've got you winning there.
Aw, that's so sweet. Thank you. That's
And
awesome.
you've been working since you were a little girl. I mean, I know you've got a couple of SAG Awards as part of the Mad Men ensemble, but what would that mean to you if they did pick you out as the winner from the Screen Actors Guild?
Well, it's like the old thing. I mean, everybody says it, so it's probably like boring now, but it's your peers, and it's like it's the people that you work with and the people that you admire, and there's nothing better than that. It just is. That's just the way it is. It's to be recognized by the person that you have to act with, or that you've seen on TV and you like, is the best thing that you could get. So I think that's how everybody feels about SAG, and it's also really fun. It's a really fun award show.
Yeah, I bet that is one of the more interesting events because basically everybody in the room is an actor or an actress.
Yeah, so you know everybody. It's nice.
Well, in your long career, you probably worked with half the people in that room.
We worked with a few of them, but also it's a really great room to meet the people that you haven't worked with
Mm.
or met. Last year I met Jennifer Lawrence, and that was like the coolest moment ever for me.
Well, that I bet you are you a film fan? What kind of films would interest you the most?
I'm kind of the worst at going to movies, like going to the movie theater, just because I'm lazy. So I like to watch stuff on TV or on my computer.
Hmm.
But I'm kind of one of those people that likes everything. I like the more artsy, dark, dramatic stuff. But I'm also, super excited about seeing the Hunger Games movie. So I like it all.
Like a good mix of everything. Well, we just
Yeah.
talked about Mad Men. Are you shooting the seventh season at this point?
Yeah.
Now,
hmm
we have heard that they're dividing up these last 14 episodes. Seven will air next spring, seven will air the following spring. Are you going to go ahead and shoot all 14 in a row, or how will that work from a production standpoint?
I don't know if we're allowed to tell you. It's so funny. Like, I've gotten to this place with Mad Men where I'm literally afraid to tell you that I'm even on the show, which is ridiculous. Um, but I don't even know if I can tell you that. I can tell you this though. I like the way that we're doing it, and I think that I like that it's being broken up. I loved watching Breaking Bad like that, and I think that it's great. I don't want the show to end, and I didn't want Breaking Bad to end, so it's nice to have that little bit of, oh, I get to have it in my life a little bit longer. And so I think it's nice for viewers and for fans to be able to see it that way.
Now, this past season that we saw, which was the sixth season, you had a lot of stuff going on. You started the year out at the other firm, and and we knew at some point, somehow or another, we felt like that you would get back over to the original firm. Did you like the way that the plot moved for you last year?
Yeah, I really, really did. I really liked it, and I really loved the way that I got back to Sterling Cooper, and the way that I loved the idea of Draper and Shaw having to sort of work together, and Because I was sitting there going, how the hell am I going to get back there? I knew I was supposed to get back there, but I was like, how am I going to, what am I just going to quit this one and go back there? That seems stupid. So the idea of the merger was like, oh, that's brilliant. Of course, that's awesome. I loved it. And I loved the whole idea of how she had to, she kind of got away from Dawn and then, sort of Godfather style was like sucked back in, and couldn't get away from him, and then had to then falling in love with Shaw, and then being stuck between the two of them, sort of the two loves, of her life and in different ways. And so I loved it. I thought I had some really cool stuff to do, and I was really surprised by some things, which is a good place to be in your sixth season.
In our chat room, our poster, the Demon Hog, Riley, he brings up an issue here that I would want to ask you about. You have been really good over the years about one of the few people really that was willing to move into a supporting category. One year you said your role had been diminished a little bit and you wanted to go into supporting, and you got nominated that year. And the last couple of years you've been in the lead. What goes into your decision on a given season when you make that call?
It's kind of just like a logical thing. I think that our show is an ensemble show, and the supporting performances, quote unquote, for me, I'm like, I like Christina Hendricks, is sort of like, I'm like, wow, she's such a big part of the show. So for me, it's not a matter of like, oh, this one is better than the other. It's just a matter of logistics and how much you're part of the show and how much screen time you have. And that year, I talked to Matt about it, and I was like, what do you think? I think that I should just, because I don't think you should have any ego about it. So it just made more sense. I didn't feel like I had enough screen time necessarily to go up against the other women who might be in the category who are in almost every scene, So it just becomes like a logistical thing, and there's so many incredible supporting performances on TV that I don't think it's a good or bad thing. It just is a matter of screen time.
Now, the episode you submitted this past summer was The Better Half, and in that one, among other things, you got to stab your boyfriend accidentally. Let's say accidentally. What did you like about that particular episode?
Obviously, I was in a lot of it, which is kind of a big factor in the decision. You figure that people see the show, so you just want to pick something that you're in a lot of. And for me, I love that the end of that episode where she's stuck in between Shaw and Draper's offices, to me was very emblematic of her arc for this season. So as an actor, I felt like, oh, that's a good representation of what's happening for her that year. And then also I felt like it had a lot of different things in it. I thought it had some, a lot of comedy, obviously, and then tragedy at the end. And it was just an episode that I felt had a lot in it, a lot of different things in it. It's a weird decision to try to make because you're trying to basically be like, this is what I think is the best.
Well, some don't like to make that decision at all. They want to be, in fact, totally clueless about it and let somebody, their producer or somebody, make the decision. And some like to be really, really involved. And I think it works both ways. It's just a matter of somebody taking charge of it and trying to make a good choice.
Well, I like to make the choice because I'm in this situation where you ask me, or someone asks me, why did you pick that? And I like to be able to say why, so that It came from me and it's not just an arbitrary thing.
Well, some people don't even like to watch their own show, or watch their own performances. So, at least you enjoy Mad Men.
I don't always watch everything on the show. I don't always watch every episode. So, I did have to watch some stuff that I hadn't seen yet when I picked that episode.
I've never heard you talk about this, but I'd love to know. Back in 2007, when the show started, AMC, you guys put AMC on the map, and then, of course, Breaking Bad comes along, and now it's a real network and obviously a big awards contender every year. But, that was a risk for every one of you involved to take a show onto a network like that. Why did you want to take that role, and how did you come to take it?
It seems like one of those things that you kind of look back on, and you're like, God, what? was a bit of a risk, but at the time it just felt right. And I remember when I auditioned for it, meeting Matt and thinking, and I called my manager afterwards and I said, I want to work with that guy. I just wanted to work with him. I just really liked him. And then there was the script, which was so good and so much better than anything else that I was reading, film or television or whatever. And I loved that part. I really liked Peggy, and I really liked playing her. And I never wanted to I never even wanted to be a regular on a show necessarily. And this was one that I was like, it just seemed like the right thing to do. And it, we had some pedigree because Matt was coming off of The Sopranos and Scott, Hornbacher as well. And so it wasn't a complete shot in the dark. But it's just one of those moments where you're like, this feels right, and I think I'm going to take this risk.
Well, regardless of quality, as you well know from movie scripts and TV scripts, sometimes great ones never get seen, and sometimes awful ones become big hits. So it's
exactly.
tough.
We were, in a way, you're just kind of doing the pilot. You're signing on for those 2 weeks of work. I mean, there was definitely a thought of like, well, this could be it, and hopefully not. But you don't often expect something that is really different or not what is usually out there. That usually doesn't make it through. So in this case, it did. Thank God.
I know from talking to all of you Mad Men actors over the last couple of years, you're not going to tell me anything about next season, even though you are shooting it. But at least tell me that you like the way it's going.
That I can't tell you. I do. I really like the way it's going, and yeah, I really, really do. I wish I could tell you stuff. It's super.
I can't imagine from your standpoint, or any of you, or any show that shoots, well in advance, just holding on to secrets like that for so many months.
I know, it's so annoying.
Is it just total relief once something airs?
Yeah, it is. Although by then you're sort of moved on to something else, So you just get excited about it, and I like it, and I'm a fan as well. So you want to tell people, but obviously I think I'm so used to not telling people that it's fine. But to answer your question, yes, I am really happy with where it's going, and we're at the very beginning, so I don't really have much anyways. Look, special guest again. There she is.
You're going to get all the cat lover votes on the Globes and SAG Awards.
I'm so excited, and I hope it just did not turn off the cat haters.
Or the dog lovers may not vote for you, but
I like dogs too. Dog lovers. Vote for me.
What's your cat's name?
That's Ethel.
Okay.
I have two. They're named Lucy and Ethel after. Obviously, I love Lucy. Anyways.
Have you even thought at all about that final day of shooting when they say that's a series wrap for Elisabeth Moss and what that's going to feel like?
Yeah, I have. I really have. It's been something that, I thought about a lot more before this season started. And then once the season starts, you sort of go into work mode and you're just doing what you have to do. But for me, the crazy thing is, that moment when they say cut, and that's the end of that, and I will never play her again. It's a very strange thing for me. I've played her. When we wrap the show, I'll have been working on it for 9 years. So for me, that's a very strange feeling that's going to be done.
Well, I've met Matt before and talked to Matt before, and please pass along one little advice from all of us. Or at least from me, I don't know if anybody else cares. Somewhere in your final episode, I want Peggy carrying a box somewhere.
Aww. Okay.
That's been such a vital part of your character over the years, you carrying a box from one office to another, from one job to another, from one promotion to another.
Oh my God, you're so right. That's so funny. I totally will. I will tell him, I promise. I can't guarantee anything, but hopefully it won't be because I'm like fired or something.
No, I would not think so. I've always predicted. See, now that I say these things, he'll have to say we can't go that way now because it's out there. But I've always thought that you would be some kind of partner by the final episode.
Don't. Yeah, careful. Don't say anything. Don't say what you want, because we want it to happen.
Well, listen, thank you so much. We want to see you at the Globes nominated. We want to see you at SAG Awards nominated. And Of course, the Emmy Awards are way along the way, but that'll take care of itself.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the Gold Derby Award. That was like the coolest thing ever to hear. So I was totally honored and flattered, and that was really
You've
nice.
won several over the years.
Well, it's really nice because it's like you guys are the experts and you guys seem to know what you're talking about. So,
Well,
it's
remember now, you've got people like me that pretend to know, and we get to actually be out there. But when we do those awards, we throw that open to everybody in the world that wants to vote. That's on our website. So it's I think over 1,000 people vote, and they're all, if you watch them ever in the forums, they're TV lovers. I mean, they love television. They talk about it day after day after day. So when you get an award from those people, they know what they're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. It's like people who actually see everything and have seen everything that year, and it really does mean something. I was really excited about it. So
Oh,
thank you.
you're very welcome. You've been a real light on Mad Men all these years.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, have a great holiday season, and thanks for joining us.
Goodbye, Ethel. Bye, Gold Derby.